Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining, my name's Andrea and I'm the artist and owner behind Coco Michelle Illustrations, and today's video is terrifying. So lately I've been getting the itch to return back to my roots of traditional art. For those of you who don't know, I am a full-time digital artist. Mwah, love this for me. But I wasn't always a digital artist. I actually started traditionally, like most people, and didn't find digital art until about 3 years ago. Once I started digital art, it was such a huge learning curve and I really was not that great at it. It really consumed all of my time and energy and I completely abandoned traditional art. But the other day I got the urge to actually create something with a piece of paper, which I have not had that urge in so long. Now, I wasn't doing any kind of art for about 2 years because I was so consumed in my career. And then I discovered digital art about 3 years ago. So it's been 5 years since I fully rendered any kind of illustration on a piece of paper. And my art style has completely changed. When I was drawing on paper, it was fashion illustrations, mostly about the clothing, very little emphasis on the actual person or character wearing the clothing. And now most of my art is portraits. And I don't think I've ever drawn a portrait using a traditional medium. So not really sure about that. So I think what I'm gonna do to make it an apples to apples comparison is draw something that I've already created digitally so I can kind of have like something to grade myself against. This is just for fun, but I do wanna have some sort of gauge on how I think I did. So I'm going to be creating this piece. This piece was voted by my Instagram community as one of their favorites. Definitely check me out on Instagram if you want to have more day-to-day behind the scenes and get to interact with these awesome polls and have your vote matter. But before I could get started, I definitely needed to take a look at my old art supplies, and let's just say they were neglected. So I did as any good suburban craft mother would do. I hopped in my Honda and drove over to Michael's. Walked in there, threw a couple of things in my basket, checked out with a nice whopping bill and very little to show for it. But I hope it's enough combined with some of whatever has survived the 5-year drought. I feel like I have enough to be able to create something nice. When I used to do traditional art, I loved markers and pens and colored pencils. So that's what I felt most comfortable doing. I did get some like pastels to throw in there. I don't know why. I've never used those. I guess just wish me luck. If it's ugly, it's ugly at this point. I mean, there's nothing to be afraid of. So here's everything that I picked up, and I'll have everything linked down in the description below. Now, I will say one thing I was reminded of very quickly with traditional art is that it can get very expensive and that you are very limited to what you can afford and what you can get your hands on. I do prefer digital art in that aspect because I can have unlimited access to all of the colors and textures that I could ever dream of to create any piece. So I swatch all of the Chow markers that I had, both the brush and the chisel nibs. And this is a portrait set, but I am very limited into what colors I can actually use to complete this portrait because of what was available in this set. I also did a blend test and I'm really happy with how these blend. I kind of get that same effect that I would in Procreate, so I do feel very comfortable with that. I did try out these pastels. I'm trying to blend the colors together to get that nice deep background color, and yeah, this was a major fail, so I passed on that. I also dipped into my markers and I just wanted to use those to kind of increase my range so that I wouldn't be limited to just those 2 deep skin tones that were provided in the Copic sketch. So right away, I noticed that drawing traditionally definitely flexes a different muscle than drawing digitally, because once you put it on the paper, it's on the paper. And I'm used to being able to kind of adjust and move and having the freedom and flexibility to resize and put things in a different place on the canvas. So I definitely had to adjust to, once I put something down, it's not a quick like pick up and move across the canvas. So you'll also see me kind of lifting up the paper a few times because the angle that I'm sitting at, I felt like everything was getting elongated. So the further away from me it was, because of the angle and how flat the paper was on the table, I kept feeling like her head was getting elongated. And even in the final piece, I still feel like I want to use the liquify tool and kind of squish her head to be more proportionate, but I was pretty happy with it. But what I will say is, because I knew that I couldn't as easily make adjustments, I was a lot more intentional with how I was drawing. So it went by way faster, which I did like. I feel like with digital art, you have the possibilities of just keep messing with it over and over again, and that can cause the process to be a lot more drawn out than with traditional art. You kind of like, okay, this is it. When I make this line, I just want to make it right the first time. So I did enjoy that.
Yeah. Tell me all the things weighing heavy on your heart. Yeah. Why you acting like I ain't kept it real from the start? Yeah. Like I ain't wanna put the sugar in your cup. Like I didn't put you in that two-seater, cause you don't like kids and I don't like them neither. No, I joke, I kid. I don't care for no one else, it's sure I'm with. If I don't make you number one, that's low, that Chris. I move when you move, I might write an interlude and name that shit right after you. You more than just a picture on my phone, you picture perfect. I see you in my future, 2020 vision worth it. I'm lucky you a diamond, cause I know that everything is not gold.
Love it like, love it like, love it like, love it like, love it like. And I'ma keep on singing at my window. Love it like, 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 love it like. I'ma keep on singing at my window. What you really know about me? Do you really see me? Do you really see me now? If only you could hear me out, we could be something like a harmony. Stack it up and let it breathe. Talking about stability, darling, it's a guarantee.
I will say that I enjoy using these Copic markers a lot. They feel really good on the paper, great in the hand. The markers I was using in college were Prismacolor markers, and they had a chisel nib and a bullet nib. I only had a couple that had the brush nib, and I really do enjoy using those. The color blends beautifully. I like how it lays on the paper. It's not too splotchy. I did have a little bit of smudging that happened towards the end on her face, which was disappointing, but it wasn't anything too drastic. That is one thing that, you know, with digital art, you can kind of fix those mistakes and you have layers. So you do have to be a lot more cautious and intentional when you're using traditional art. And I wouldn't say that that's a downside. I would just say it's a difference. And I like it because I had to be a lot more strategic in terms of how I was laying everything down, what order I was putting things down. I can't just move layers around. So I did have to be a little more cerebral with how I was making my decisions. But I wouldn't say that was a downside. I would say that's something I actually enjoyed.
What you gon' do every time I switch it up? Damn, I don't want no problem, but you gotta be ready if you gon' start soon. Damn, how you gonna keep it up? Learn your lesson that you ain't gon' never measure up. Damn, I don't want no problem, but you gotta be ready if you gon' start soon. There ain't never room for more than me, honestly. Can we be just a little real for a moment?
What you'll see as I complete this piece is that I definitely struggled with getting the color payoff and the kind of smooth texture that I was looking for with the materials that I had. Now, I was using a lot of materials that are over 5 years old, so it's definitely user error and not necessarily the fact that it's traditional art. But I did really enjoy the process. I definitely felt that I was having a more therapeutic experience than I do with digital art. And it's something that I definitely don't want to shy away from anymore. So I am excited to have done this little experiment. I am happy with how it came out. And I feel that with practice and with better materials, I'll be able to even get my traditional art up to the level that my digital art is if I keep practicing.
It took me 17 days to shake you, rearrange my mind, erase you. I waited, all my pride on the table. I was willing and able, willing and able. All of my patience has run dry, 'cause you've been wasting all my precious time. How do you look me in the eye when I already told you? Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke and we're still stuck on repeat, yeah. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke, but we're still on repeat, yeah. I'm counting 17 reasons not to call you back in and stop you. Just can't help that I want you. If you're leaving, better not spin around it. Ricochet back around it. Don't play me, just come find me. All of my patience has run dry, 'cause you've been wasting all my precious time. How do you look me in the eye when I already told you? Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke and we're still stuck on repeat, yeah. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke, but we're still on repeat, yeah. Still stuck on it, still stuck on repeat. Still stuck on it, still stuck on it. Still stuck on it, still stuck on repeat. Still stuck on it, still stuck when I already told you. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke and we're still stuck on repeat, yeah. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke, but we're still on repeat, yeah. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke and we're still stuck on repeat, yeah. Well, you come and you go, but baby, this love ain't free. So the record's been broke, but we're still on rip, we're still on rip, we're still on rip.
So here's the final piece. I am really happy with it, especially for it to be my first piece in over 5 years. I think it came out a lot better than if I were to try and draw this 5 years ago. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it. There are a lot of things that I would change. Even looking at this while editing, I'm like, ooh, I wish I had done this way. But all of that comes with more practice. I am going to continue doing more traditional art because it was very enjoyable. I would say even more enjoyable than digital art. It felt felt more satisfying to have something on a piece of paper. So I am going to continue doing it. I am going to invest in getting more material so that I can get the look that I'm going for, because a lot of the limitations I had were because of the resources I had available. So I'm going to continue to invest in new pieces, new products. If you guys have any recommendations, definitely leave those down in the comments below. And if you want to give me a critique or any thoughts or things that I can do better, please also leave that in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.